recording properly. Okay, Alhamdulillah, Alhamdulillah, Alhamdulillah. My husband will be coming in. He is late. Right, so he's gonna come in soon, inshallah. But I will just start first, right? So, thank you all for coming down. Right, it's going to be two sessions only. So, inshallah, is our second session, our last session today. And I will take, there'll be a lot of time for question and answer, inshallah. And I'll try my very best to answer your questions, to the extent of my knowledge, lah, right, inshallah. Right, so, today I will be going through um, uh, just a bit more, right, about some of the rulings, right, with regards to travel, right, fiqh, right, rulings in Islam with regards to travel, which I feel is important to cover, because just a refresher lah. A refresher for ourselves, right? Because as we travel and you're on the plane, you're on the bus, or wherever we're at, right, we need to be confident, right, what are the laws in our religion in regards to these things, right? And so there are a few things I want to point out, that inshallah will assist you in this travel and as well as in future travels, inshallah. Right, so this is just to benefit. And I also put these parts on YouTube, so as to benefit also the public, right? So whoever wants to come to these lessons, you can share with them. It's not exclusive, it's not restricted, right? Just anyone who wants to have like a crash course before they go for Umrah or any form of travel, especially now in December, people are traveling, right? And unfortunately, a lot of people, they don't really learn the laws of travel properly, right? They hear about it here and there, right? And they're not so sure, right, what are the laws of travel that is on us. Okay, so inshallah I will do that first, and I'll come to the talk. I'll come into our tour, right, in Tarim, right, especially today, right, later on. But I'll go into that first. But before I go into that, let me just ask any questions, right, from last week's uh what we went through last week with regards to Umrah. Are there any questions with regards to Umrah or what we were going through last week? Um, because after the class, I heard from some of the people that they were still confused as to how to perform Umrah, right? And Umrah is actually very, very simple. It's actually very easy. And as you can see in this particular slide, let me just see if I'm sharing this. Am I sharing this? Now, in this particular slide, you can see that it's just 5 things you have to do. Umrah is very, very simple. It can be done in a few hours, right? Inshallah, right? And it's very difficult to mess up your Umrah. It's actually very difficult to mess it up. The most you do is that you pay them. Right? But to entirely mess it up, right, it is almost very difficult, right, to do. Right? So basically, we'll take ihram on our way from Mecca to Medina. If that was not clear, we'll do our ihram on our way from Mecca to Medina. We will do our ihram now. Yes. Sorry, Medina to Mecca, fine. The other round. Say Mecca to Medina. Right, we do ihram from Medina to Mecca, right? But at the when we're at our hotels, right, you can do your sunnah bath for ihram in your hotel. It's okay, right? The sunnah is stays for as long as your body does not change in its smell. Right, so your sunnah bath for ihram can be done in the hotel, right? And in fact, your sunnah prayer before the sunnah prayer for ihram is done before ihram, and not after ihram, right? So the sunnah prayer for ihram is done before ihram. That is why it cannot be performed during haram timings, right? So haram timings are basically what after praying subuh, right? When the sun is midday, after praying asar, your no during sunrise, during sunset. These are the main haram timings in the day where you can't pray a prayer in these timings, for prayers whereby the reason comes after the prayer. And ihram, sunnah ihram is one of those prayers whereby the reason for the prayer comes after the prayer. Right? So you can pray sunnah ihram as long as it's not in a haram timing. Right? I hope that's clear. So if you do ihram after asar, you can't do sunnah ihram. If you do ihram after subuh, you can't do sunnah ihram. You can do the sunnah prayer of ihram. You cannot, because it's a haram timing. After praying subuh, it is haram to pray prayers until sunrise. Right? So you understand, eh? Right? So I will guide you. I will guide you. I will say, okay, remember to do your sunnah bath for ihram. Remember to do the 2 rakaat sunnah before you enter into ihram. right? It's before you enter into ihram. I will just keep reminding you. Can you hear me go past? Okay. I always keep reminding you over and over again as you go through, and I'll remind you of the sunnahs of ihram as well, right? So sunnahs of ihram, right, which is to clip your nails, right, to shave, right, to groom yourself, is of the sunnahs of ihram, right? So I hope that one that is clear, and we will remind you lah. Like so, inshallah, I have not done so. Everyone to do every day, but I keep forgetting. We will do a group for women and a group for men, right? Because there are specific women issues that I want to address, and there are also men issues that my husband will address. So my husband will handle the men, and I'll handle the women, inshallah, right? And so I think in the individual groups also, we're more comfortable, right? And I think now like because everybody's one group, and people all like too shy to say anything, right, in the group, right? So when you have like individual groups, I think there is more comfort lah. Right? All women in the group and all men, and it's easier for myself and my husband to arrange classes, right? With you all women classes and all men classes, it's easier for us to communicate. And if you all in all women's group or all men's group, inshallah, I will do the group this tonight, and I'll send the link tonight, inshallah. Right. So just to clarify, because there were some questions about that. Right. So as you go past the miqat, right, so basically between Medina and Mecca, there's a place whereby you must do ihram by then. Right, by that point, you must have done the ihram. So if you do the ihram before that, it's okay. So if you do ihram from Medina itself, it's okay, but you enter the laws of ihram already. So most people don't do ihram until they reach the points of the miqat, and you'll be told you're at miqat, right? And then make your niyat for ihram, right? Which is in the slides, and we will remind you, and we'll do it together as well, right? So if you're still uncertain, for those especially who are new to Umrah or have not done it for a long time, if you're still uncertain, we will be there step by step all the way. And there are transmitters that will be given to you all. Right? Transmitters are basically whereby if I speak or my husband speaks into our mic, it will go straight into your transmitter ears. Right? So through the bus as well, as we bring you on tour, myself, Ustaz Al-Kaf, right, who is our travel agent, as well as tour guide, and my husband, Ustaz Asar, right, we will be speaking into the transmitters, and you will hear our voices directly into your ears. Even if you go far from us, you can hear. I think the transmitter has a range of about, if I'm not wrong, about 10 meters range. So even as you go tawaf, if you don't know where the group is, you can still hear me or hear my husband or hear Ustaz Al-Kaf doing the zikr. You can still hear us. Right, so it's a very good thing that we borrow from Mujahid, Mujahid and their transmitters, right? Ustad is actually from Ustad TM Fauzi, right? He's the one with all the transmitters. Right now, I'm trying to buy a few, see if I like can. Cause they're very useful. They're very useful transmitters, right? So don't worry, Aisha, don't worry. We will be there with you every step of the way, inshallah. Right? So I hope there's no worries lah. So now, before I go on to the next part, I want to ask any questions. I ask your questions now with any questions. But if you are too shy, you can ask me through WhatsApp. You can WhatsApp my husband as well. My husband is in the group. Right, so for the men, if you just look into the main group, you find someone named Asar Ali. That's my husband. Right, also Asar is there, so you can ask him any questions as well. Right, you find Al Kaf. Al Kaf is Ustaz Al Kaf lah, Ustaz Muhammad Al Kaf. Right, he's also in the group as well. Right, so you can address them, even especially for travel issues. You can ask him directly as well. Right, but of course he's a travel agent lah, so he tends to just he goes through me and my husband. Okay, so any questions about the Umrah part if I go on? Are there any questions at all on ihram, on tawaf, on sa'i, on we are keeping ourselves updated as to what is the latest in Mecca right now. And as far as I've heard, Mecca has no need for booking of anything. They just because I think this right now December it is peak period, right? So Mecca is fully packed, and Medina is fully packed, right? So prepare yourself. I would suggest that you go for solat. Don't go right before the azan. You'll not enter the masjid. I will be on the outside of the masjid, right? But if you can i'tikaf, stay in the masjid. Right, don't come out also is good, right? But I would say go there early. I should know. Go there. December is really peak period, right? So the masjid will be full, and like Medina, they will close the doors on you. So you cannot enter the masjid, you must pray outside. They will do that to you in Medina. In Mecca also, they will bar you. Right? And now Mecca, they actually have areas for women only and for men only, and they will chase you away if you're at the men area. they will do so. Right? So my last experience in Mecca lah. Last time it was just everybody everywhere, right? Now they actually have designated women area and men area, and they're very strict about it. Now they will chase you away, right? So just be very, you can't go there early, and you can rest and so on, right? And we'll give a lot of ibadah time in Mecca and Medina because that's the point of Umrah, right? To do your worship. All right. So okay, no questions, eh? Any questions? That no questions. Okay. So I hope everything is clear on all of that. Okay. So I'm just gonna read through this part about the intentions that you can make, and I hope, and it's just for you to trigger off, right, what intentions you can do as you go through Hajj, as you go through Umrah, and as you go through Tarim, right? The intentions that you can make as you go into these places. And this is like deeper intentions, and this is based on the words of our Prophet, Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, right, whereby he said, إِنَّمَا الْعَمَلُ بِالنِّيَّاتِ وَإِنَّمَا لِكُلِّ امْرِئٍ مَا نَوَى. Right? For surely every action is only and by its intentions, and for every person, whatever they have intended, right? So you increase yourself in your intentions, right? So the first thing when you put on ihram, on top of the wajib intentions, you put in a lot of additional spiritual intentions. Some all not wajib, of course, right? But it's more for yourself, right? To get into the spirituality of Umrah, right? So when you put on ihram, you intend to purify yourself, to keep myself away from what Allah has made haram, to come out of this Umrah with all of my sins forgiven, right? And also to bring to your heart, your ihram is like your kafan cloth. It is like your cloth that they will shroud you, right, when you die. Right? So you imagine that if this is a cloth that I will be shrouded with, when I die, right, am I in a state that I want to die in? Right? And prepare yourself, right, for that. You can imagine that. Right? Tawaf of the intentions, all from the green book that I showed you last week. It's all from the green book, right? To forever have my life revolve around the commandments of Allah Subhanahu wa Taala, to be at peace with every believer in my life. This is important because when you go on tawaf, people do all kinds of things to you. Right? They shove you, they push you, right? They do all kinds of things. And in Mecca and Medina, right, do not hold any negativity or any negative thoughts against anybody, because it will come back to you. I'm warning and warning, so many people, if you have a negative thought against someone in Mecca, the thought, it will come back to you. If you're in Mecca, it will come back to you. Like for example, was true story. Someone, saw like some woman, from, I think they were from Pakistan, and they were holding on to their husband, and because they're so scared they get lost in Masjid al-Haram, and she had a thought in her head that, why can't this woman just read the signs? Why is she so scared to get lost? And then this person got lost in Masjid Haram for the entire day. Couldn't find her way out. This is the kind of thing that happens in Mecca, eh? Right, this happens in Mecca. The moment a fleeting thought comes to you, is istighfar, astaghfirullah, astaghfirullah, astaghfirullah. Don't let any bad thoughts happen to you. Right? So if someone's pushing a wheelchair, right? Don't think like, why is people push wheelchair against my leg? Like, and you have bad thoughts coming to you. Right? And for all you know, you will be in a wheelchair. Right, so you don't have all this. Is Mecca, in Mecca. Those of you who've been there, you cannot think of anything bad at all. Right, very dangerous to do that. It will come back to you. Okay, just a warning, to be at peace with every believer in your life, to follow the prophets in their footsteps, because every prophet did tawaf. Right, every prophet went to Kaaba. Every prophet did tawaf. So you're walking the footsteps of all the prophets, inshallah. I wanted to mention, that with all of when I went through the parts of tawaf, right, all of the conditions of tawaf. As a tawaf, right, basically your shoulder has to be towards the Kaaba, right, you have to be on tahara, your awrat must be covered, right. So if let's say someone were to shove you and your shoulder moves away from the Kaaba, right, so either you backtrack to where you were shoved, right, and you have to redo that part, just that part, or you forfeit that particular round and you go one round and do an extra round. Okay? Right? Because the parts of your tawaf that you don't fulfill the conditions of tawaf, those parts are not valid. Right? So if you're going on tawaf, right, and at any point in time, right, for example, your aura get exposed, or your shoulder moves away from the Kaaba, right, you need to, and you push forward, for example, you push forward, you must backtrack, right, to where you were, right, and then redo that part in the correct conditions of tawaf, or forfeit the round and go one more round. Okay, if it's difficult to backtrack, because as mentioned, it's going to be very, very crowded in December, Mecca and Medina. Right? And also, again, another warning. I keep emphasizing this for the women. Warning, please don't tawaf by yourself. Right? Please, right? It is not safe. Right? With the kind of people who are there, it is not safe. Right? Don't tawaf by yourself. In fact, don't go to the masjid by yourself. Right? So go in groups of four, I would say, and the entire room goes, right? Or three, even two, they will abuse you, right? So or with a man, that's the best thing. Bring a man with you, okay? They're scared of men. Men are scared of men, right? But not scared of two women. Even three women, they might not be scared, right? So just as a protection, right? On all, women, because I have even my own group in 2019, right? In that own group, one of the jama'ah was abused by a man, right? So and because she was walking by herself from masjid and from hotel to masjid, she was by herself, right? So don't, please, 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 I really so worried about all the women here who are single, and or coming without a mahram, right? Please go in groups, right? Don't think that people in Makkah and Medina are all angels, right? They have done terrible things. You can go online and search all the cases in Makkah and Medina, right? If you want to really get yourself understanding what's happening in Makkah and Medina. Unfortunately, right. I'm just going through some of the spiritual side, of sa'i, to strive as hard as I can in upholding Islam in my life, to never give up on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and myself in my worship, but to rely on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala completely to enable me to worship, to climb spiritually to higher and higher levels with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because in sa'i you climb. You climb a little bit up. So as you go through sa'i, you make your intentions, and I'm giving you examples for you to be triggered and increase your intentions as you sa'i. So if you know the stories in Hajar and Nabi Ismail, you increase those intentions, right? With regards to the story as well, right? To walk the way of Sayyidina Hajar and Nabi Ismail and Nabi Ibrahim in their trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? When he left his wife and his daughter in Mecca, and because of his trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and his obedience, we have the blessing of Zamzam, right? Where we are today. Okay, when you cut hair, right, you because it's a point of acceptance. When you cut your hair, when you shave your hair, it's a point of acceptance of the umrah, right, or the hajj, right? So you intend also that Allah accepts all your deeds in your life, right? So you end your life, right, with all the deeds accepted, inshallah. When you drink zamzam, there is a hadith. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "Zamzam is whatever it is drunk for." Right, zamzam lima shuribalah, as the hadith says, Zamzam lima shuriba lah. Right, so Zamzam is for whatever it is drunk for. And one of the ulama, he was asked, how do you increase in so much knowledge? And he said, every time I drink Zamzam, I ask Allah for an increase in knowledge. Every time I drink Zamzam, I ask Allah for an increase in knowledge, and from there my knowledge increase. Right, because Zamzam lima shuriba lah. Right, Zamzam is for whatever it is drunk for. So whatever it is, whether it's spiritual or physical or emotional, or this world or next world, whatever it is that you want, you intend in that zamzam and you drink it, right? Inshallah. Right, you intend that Allah purifies my heart from diseases, cures my body from any diseases. Allah allows you to drink from the hands of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam on the day of judgment, as water from his hands is better than zamzam. Right, water from the hands of Rasulullah is better than even zamzam. Um, Water from the hands of Rasulullah is even better than the waters of Jannah. Right? The water that came from his hands, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And dua or zamzam, I think I put it in the slides. Later I open up for you. Right? So which is, Ya Allah, make it a remedy for me from every disease and sickness, and give me sincerity, certainty, and good health in this world and the next. Right? Dua for zamzam. The dua that is from Rasulullah when he drank zamzam. The Arabic is coming, inshallah, is in the slides. Right, so when you gaze at the Kaaba, right, in Mecca, it is mentioned that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala distributes 100 mercies, right, in Mecca. 100 mercies, right, is it mercies lah, right, in Mecca, right? 20 are for those who gaze at the Kaaba, right? 20 parts are for those who just gaze at the Kaaba. So even if you're tired, just gaze at the Kaaba, right? And then there are then there is 30 parts, right? There is for those who are praying by the Kaaba, and then 50 parts, if I'm not wrong, they're for those who are doing tawaf, right? Or the numbers around there, I think so. I'll get the hadith, right? But there is the one doing tawaf, the one who is praying, and the one who is gazing at the Kaaba. Okay, when you gaze at the Kaaba, your intention that Allah will gaze at me with the gaze of pleasure in this world, that Allah will look at you with pleasure in this world and the next, and that Allah protects my eyes from looking at haram, that Allah sees me, lets me see truth as truth and allow me to follow it, and falsehood as falsehood and allow me to stay away from it. It's a very important dua that we should memorize for our zaman, especially because truth is disguised as falsehood and falsehood is disguised as truth. So there's a dua to repeat over and over again. أرنا الحق الحق وارزقنا اتباعه وأرنا الباطل الباطل وارزقنا اجتنابه. Right, it's Arabic. You can say the English if you want to say the English if it's that's easier. Okay, where the dua? Okay, that is coming later. No, dua was on top The dua of apa? Zamzam. No, I put the dua somewhere. No, that's no. Okay, never mind. I didn't put the dua anywhere. Where? There. Okay, I need to put the dua somewhere. اللهم إني أسألك علما نافعا ورزقا واسعا وشفاء من كل داء. Right? If you have your transmitter on, we will be reading it with you. Okay, so you can hear us say the dua. I'll put in the harakat, sorry, there's no harakat. Right, but I'll put in the harakat, inshallah. Okay. Yeah, the slides are all with you all, can? Okay, but you can take which if you want. Okay, I'll go quickly, because I want to go to the Tarim side. With regards to other intentions to think about, right? For those who are climbing Jabal Nur, right? Make your intentions, right? Why are you climbing the Jabal Nur, right? To be close to the Quran. Right? Your intentions for Jabal Nur should be around the Quran. Right, because that is where the Quran was first revealed. Right, your intentions in praying behind Maqam Ibrahim, right, that should be, on the path of Ibrahim, Millat Ibrahim Hanifa, on the path of Nabi Ibrahim alayhi salam. So I'm just putting just where you want to think, together as a couple, as a family, right? Whereby you write down your intentions in your notebook. All of this will bear fruit, right? Trust me, all of this will bear fruit. But I'm just pointing it out, right? So that I don't spend so much time on this, right? But I want you all as your own at your own time, right? Do it. It will enhance your experience so much more, right? Inshallah. Visiting the birthplace of Rasulullah. It is one of our spots that we will definitely, inshallah, go. It is a library that is behind Safa and Marwa, right? It's closed, right? It's closed. For me personally, I like going there right before dawn and doing a maulid there. Usually, I do it. If I'm by myself, I just do that. I just go there before dawn, and I'll just meet my husband, and we do a maulid there, to celebrate his birth, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Right. So we'll see whether we can do that together, right before dawn. Right. But we have to get into the masjid before dawn lah, because otherwise you'll be out of the masjid. You won't enter. So if you want to do that, you have to be there like really early, right? And enter the masjid about an hour before subuh. Right, you shouldn't be coming to the masjid right at subuh. Right? You will not get into the masjid. It's December. It's high peak. You got to come there an hour at least before the azan. But inshallah, for me, it's one of the most spiritual experiences to visit the birthplace of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, right? And to imagine, inshallah, will bring you through the story behind it over and over again. So the transmitters all must be with you, right? So the story of his birth and the light that shone forth and what his mother experienced and everything that has to do with his birth, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. We will walk you through the stories, right? That is there. The grave of Sayyidah Khadija is Ma'ala. Ma'ala is very close to the Masjid al-Haram. It's very near the masjid. Right? So in Ramadan, my hotel was at a distance. I used to walk past the grave of Sayyidah Khadija every single day to get to my hotel. Right? So it is between my hotel and Masjid al-Haram. Right, so it's a very beautiful place. You can't enter because they have blocked off everything. Right, but we will go and visit her, and we will remember her, and I'll tell of the stories, right, around Sayyidah Khadija and to commemorate her. Right, myself also Al-Kaf or my husband, right, we will be doing the tour, and we'll be commemorating these great people. Jabal Rahma at Arafah. So all your intentions, put down your intentions. We'll be going to Jabal Rahma at Arafah. Jabal Rahma, if you go for Hajj, to get on Jabal Rahma is almost impossible. Because Jabal Rahma is where Rasul gave his final sermon before he passed away. Right, so it's at Arafah. So when you go during Hajj, it's almost impossible to get up there because it's full of people. Right? You can try to get there, but it's full of people. But that's why we go there during Umrah because nobody there. Right? So when you go there, you make your du'as and you ask Allah to bring you for Hajj. It's one of the most important to us. Ask Allah to bring you for Hajj soon. Right, inshallah. Masjid Aqaba. Masjid Aqaba is one of the places where we will visit as well, inshallah. Masjid Aqaba is a place whereby Rasulullah SAW took the bay'ah, which is the pledge of allegiance with the people of Medina. It's a very important place, and is the feeling of this masjid is very spiritual. I love this masjid. It's a very bare masjid. It is right at Mina, right, and not many people actually visit it. Right, not many people go to Masjid Aqaba. Right, it's right at Mina. That's where they did the bay'ah. Bay'at al-Aqaba was done there. Right, whereby the people of Medina came and they promised Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam the allegiance to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And you tell the stories that is around it. Right, and inshallah, it will be an experience lah. For me, the first time I went there was with Shamda Yusuf in some when before I got married lah. Right, Shamda Yusuf. And I still remember very clearly him telling the story and him weeping as he was telling the story between the people of Ansar and the people of Mecca as they came together, and Rasulullah as they came together and they pledged support to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. It's at Mina. Inshallah, we go there. And for me, if for myself, my husband, and Ustaz Al-Kaf, for us, we are aiming for the spiritual places to visit. Right, spiritual and important places in Islam to visit. Right, so you will see that I'm focusing on these places where the seerah happened. Right, where there is athar, they call it athar, the life story of Rasulullah happened in these areas, and the story will be told as we are going through these places, inshallah. So like places like I think I spoke to someone last week, like Ta'if, right? I will not go to Ta'if, right? Because there is nothing there. Right, in a sense, there's nothing there, right? So I will not go. Ta'if is a place. Yes, there are fruits there. There's shopping there. It is a tourist destination which I'm not interested in. For me lah, in Mecca and Medina, there's no sirah. There is a sirah after Ta'if, yes, right? And in the very after Ta'if, right? There is a sirah over there whereby he made his dua and so on, right? So I'm specifically, so you make your niyats lah, That's all your niyats, all your intentions in all of these visitations. Just giving your ideas, you put it down and write down your intentions, and you'll get, inshallah, all that you have intended. Inshallah. Okay, so in Medina, right, I mentioned your intentions, intentions in giving salam to Rasulullah that you intend that you see him, inshallah, in this world before the hereafter. And then you intend with the companions that you be together with them in Jannah. And you intend when you go into Rawdah, right, that as Allah has allowed you to enter the Rawdah in this world. And the Rawdah is the Rawdah, it is the original masjid of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That is Rawdah. There is the original masjid of Rasulullah. There is a specific place whereby it is even more special, whereby it's between his grave and his mimbar. Right, that place is where Rasulullah walked the most in his life, because his house to his mimbar. So he walked there the most in his life. So that is the most special spot on this entire earth, right, in the life of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. But of course, the most special spot right now is where his body is. Okay, and there is the best spot in the entire world is where the body of Rasulullah lies. Right, so and when you go into Rawdah, right, make your intentions why you're going into Rawdah and what do you want when you go into Rawdah. Right now, peak period for women, I think they're gonna give you 2 rak'ahs and out. Right, that's all they're gonna give you. Pray 2 rak'ahs and they're gonna chase you out. Right, so make your all your preparation lah as you get in. As you are waiting to enter, I will also lead you all through slawats. Inshallah, I'll lead you all through slawats and through some of the recitations as we enter into the Rawdah. Right, so inshallah, and then your intentions in i'tikaf in the masjid of Rasulullah. For you to know, the masjid right now is the size of Medina in the time of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. the entire masjid right now, right? That is the size of Medina in the time of Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. So there's an app that tells you where the houses of Sahaba are. So as you walk along the masjid, you can see this was the house of Sayyidina Uthman, house of Sayyidina Ali, the house of Sayyidina Abu Bakr, the house of Sayyidina Umar, the house of Sayyidina, and all of the companions. You can see there's an app that shows you these are where their houses were, because the whole masjid was Medina, because Al-Baqi' was on the outskirts. Right now, Al-Baqi' is where? Next to the masjid, right? If you go to where it's right next to the masjid, Baqi' was actually on the outskirts in the time of Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. It was on the outskirts, right? So amazing lah, mashallah. And of course, in Medina, we will be going to the main masajid, Masjid Qubba, Masjid Qiblatain, right? We're going to the masajid at the Khandaq, right? The Khandaq, the trench, right? We will be going to Uhud. Like, I'm going to try and get us to go to Badr. Because my mom went to Badr, she says it's not that hard to go, but usually the buses they're reluctant to go to Badr, right? But Badr is an amazing place to go, right? So if we can get ourselves to get to Badr, inshallah, lah, right? Right? Badr is far off from Medina, so we have to, if you want to go there, we will go there on our way to Mecca. Because it's between Mecca and Medina. Uhud is very near Medina, so we can just go to Uhud. We can visit Hamza, who is there, and all the other martyrs that are in Uhud. Right, so again, all your intentions in going to these places in Al-Madinah, right? Put out all your intentions. Why are you going to these places, right, in Al-Madinah? Inshallah, we'll lead you through all the seerah as well around it, inshallah. Inshallah. All right, so the intentions in Medina. So what do you intend in visiting the group of Rasulullah and the Greek companions? What do you intend to visit each and every special mosque in Al-Madinah? Qiblatain, Khandaq, and Qubba are our main masajid that we will go to whenever we ziyarah in Al-Madinah. In visiting Uhud and Badr, right? Inshallah, you go to Badr. I really want to go Badr. I've never been there before. I really want to go Badr. Inshallah. The mountain of Uhud, I'll point out to you where is the mountain of Uhud, right? And there is, and where are the Arches Hill and so on, right? It's all there. Inshallah, I'll give the entire seerah, inshallah. Right? Al-Baqi', right? The graveyard, right? The well of Sayyidina Uthman and the Aris well, there are some split into. Okay, these are also, I will try and get there. Right, there's the well of Sayyidina Uthman. Sayyidina Uthman bought a well from a Jew. There's a story behind it, right? It's a long story now, where he bought a well from the Jew, right? And they say Sayyidina Uthman's well, and the water there is blessed water. So inshallah, if you can get to that well and get the water from that well, right? The well has a sad story lah, because when Sayyidina Uthman was like they blocked his house, right? And they surrounded him, they blocked his house before they killed him. They even prevented him from drinking water from his own well at that time. Right, but there's a story behind this well, right? Of Sayyidina Uthman and the well of Aris, right, whereby it was very salty and the water was not drinkable, and some spat into it and it became fresh water and it never ran out. Right, it's from the barakah of Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. The mothers of the believers, the wives of Rasulullah Sallallahu and his daughters, and Fatima Az-Zahra as well. Every day, I didn't bring it out. I have a green book, right? If you go to Maqam Habib Noor, you will see it. Later, actually, I'll go and I'll show you, or I'll take a picture and I'll put it on the groups. A small green book. If you go to Maqam Habib Noor, after you go to Maqam Habib Noor, you come down, they have like a booth, right? They sell stuff there. It's one of those books, right? It's a green book called Ziyarah, right? And in there, right, there is like a everyday set of salams to send to Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam when you are in Medina. Right? I think for 7 days or something like that. Right? So I'll be reading from there. Right? So every day, different sets of salams and dua. Right? It's a ziyarah and maqamat book. It's a very small green book. Has Arabic and Malay. So I use that book a lot. Right, because it's very comprehensive and done by the ulama. Right? So at Maqam Habib Noor, they sell it. I'm sure that if you go to any of the Malay, like Juchat or whatever, you might find it there. But I'll take a picture of it. I will use the salams from that book. When I give salams to Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, or when Usa Al-Kaf. Usa Al-Kaf has also his own set of salams to Rasulullah that is from Habib bin Sumit and to a few other habaib. That he has a set of salawat and salams that he will send to Rasulullah every single day different. Right? So we follow him also, mashallah, you will experience lah. Okay. Okay, so this adab of visitations for both in Mecca, Medina, and Tarim. Right, the adab and the etiquettes of visitations in Mecca and Medina and Tarim. Let me see the chat here. Yes, it's recorded. Okay. It's recorded, right? How to see? Okay, I scared I press it, it's not recording. But I think it's recorded. So far as I know, it's recorded. Okay. Always be in wudu. As far as possible, do a full bath before visitations, right? It is sunnah. I have to take a full bath. Of course, in the morning, take a full bath. Right? But before, if you know you're going to go and visit for that particular day, do a full bath and be in wudu. Right? To visit maqams, to be in wudu is the best. Right? I make sure you read through your intention so you remind yourselves why you're going there. I bring the siwak. I bring siwak, I'll go and buy siwak. Being constant zikr and try to limit the chat. I mentioned all this before last week, right? Represent humility and so on, right? And important, try and keep distance between men and women who are non-mahram, right? Because the adab of in front of the angels, right, who are there. So try and keep yourself, in good etiquette as you go into these places, inshallah. So inshallah, alhamdulillah, all the trips I have brought so far, the people are very well mannered, right? Alhamdulillah. And I don't find that people mix inappropriately with each other at all. Alhamdulillah. I went before on a trip, on an Umrah trip, when I was before I got married, right? And it was unfortunate that the people there, the men and women, were very much mingling, and they were not mahram, right? And that removes barakah. There's no barakah in that, right? So just guard over barakah, right? The blessings of and in obedience to Allah Subhanahu wa Taala. Right? This is why I said we put here try and really limit chatting. Right? Nothing dunyawi. Don't let anything from the dunya enter and spoil your trip. Right? So don't talk about something that is dunyawi or something whatever like what it is like. Right? But don't. Just try best to not have any of these conversations in your in your trip. Right? So the books that you read, ensure that they are all spiritual books as well. Right? So that and you occupy yourself well, inshallah. I went through this one last time round. Okay. I'm going to go through a bit of fiqh, right? Because as I mentioned, it is important lah, right? For this trip and for any trip that you go on, fiqh is always important, right? So we're going to go through a bit of fiqh before we go into our tarim section, whereby I'll walk you through, right, what you expect in tarim, right? So first and foremost, right, for prayer to be valid, right? Often. Right. For condition prayer to be valid is that with regards to traveling, if you're able to prostrate and bow properly in transportation, then you are required to do so. Right. If you are able to. I know Qatar does not allow people to stand and pray. Right. They will stop you, right, from standing and praying. Other airlines, they actually provide for you a space to stand and pray. Right. So you have to see what airlines it is. Our way back is Gulf Air. We're going through Gulf on the way back. Right. On the way there is Qatar. Right? Qatar doesn't allow any of these things. So first and foremost, right, determine the qibla, praying standing or seated, and determine the prayer time. And also I will speak about the laws of khuf as well. Right, because as last week I spoke a bit about khuf, but I think there has to be an explanation on the khuf for those who are not familiar with the khuf. Right, the khuf is basically the boots. Right, but I will explain that in a while, and that is very very useful, inshallah, as knowledge. So basically, if you're the Qibla, if you're in Qatar or any Arab airline, they will tell you where is the Kaaba. They will tell you from the aircraft itself. They usually tell you. But if you're not in an Arab airline or Muslim airline, right, then you figure it out from the map lah. And wherever you're traveling, just figure it out. Right. So for myself personally, whatever I pray in the plane, I'll qada. Because there's a lot of uncertainty in the plane. You think the Kaaba is this way, and then you pray. There's a lot of, like you say, ambiguity, right, in your prayer. So you still pray, yes, right, but I'll always do a qada, right? Just to be on the safe side. Right? You pray at the time and you do a qada to be on the safe side. Right? Inshallah, it's your ibadah, it's your worship. Right? So you want to do it well. With regards to prayer times, I think last week I mentioned about this part. Right? To prayer times, usually, if the for us, our flight there and our flight back, the only prayer we're gonna pray on the plane is subuh. The only prayer I'm going to pray on the plane is subuh. I check the itinerary lah. Whenever I go traveling, and also whenever I go traveling, check the itinerary. Where are you doing your prayers? Right? We can pray our zuhur and our asr and our maghrib and our isha on ground. As far as you can pray on ground, pray on ground. I don't pray on the plane because plane is very ambiguous. It's not sure what's going on. But subuh is easy to tell. And because subuh, basically, as the plane moves towards the sunlight, this night, this day, as the plane moves towards the line between day and night, right? You get yourself ready. You can take wudu, get yourself ready, right? And look out the window. So you can't tell from the line here, but you can tell from the sky, right? Look out the window, right? And the moment you see the lights come above the horizon, subuh has come in, right? And if you're moving towards the east, subuh is going to be very fast because you're moving towards the east. The sun will rise in this way, okay? Right, so it's going to be very fast subuh. Before you know it, it's sunrise. Right, so the moment you see the light on you, please go. This is on your way back, and I won't be there with you. Right, so you all need to be, on standby. Right, so you see the light on you, go and tell each other, subuh, 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 subuh. And if you're in a flight, actually from Cairo, not so. From Jeddah, everybody's Muslim, so they're all praying. Right, from Jeddah, they're from Umrah. And Cairo, I don't know if they're all praying or not. Right, but Jeddah, I know they're all praying. Right, so but just this nudge each other, like the light has come up, everybody prays subuh. Right, so you all together, like, tell each other that subuh has come in. All right. On our way there, same thing also subuh. We're gonna have get subuh on the plane. But because you're going towards the west, subuh is long, right? But don't be lax lah. Right, but subuh will not take a long time to go through. Right, so you have your long time before the sun rises. Right, not so long lah, but still long lah. Right, about an hour or so before the sun rises as you go towards the west. Right, so but the moment I see the sun, the light of the sun, I will just tell everybody that you can pray subuh now. For me, I still do a qada. I pray and do a qada, but in any case in Qatar, because you must sit, you must qada anyway. Right, because your prayer is deficient. Right, of the conditions of prayer is to stand. Right, so if you're unable to stand, you sit in your prayer, you have to qada anyway. So you must pray at this time and you must qada. Okay, and so Amira, you're on your own, eh? And those who are going straight to Tarim, right? So you also have to look at your timing and see what prayers you have to pray, like on your plane. Okay, how do we pray? As we takbiratul ihram, you turn to the qibla, where the qibla is at. You turn to the qibla, you takbir, right? And then you just face the front and continue praying. Right, so as usual in your seated position. Right, so only the takbir, you turn towards the qibla. Right? If you can stand, you stand lah. If you can't stand, you can't stand. I'm not sure Gulf Airlines what is their regulations. Oman Air, they give us a space to pray. Saudi gives a space to pray. I've never gone Gulf. I have no idea what Gulf does. Right, so if Gulf allows, then stand lah. If Gulf is not allowed, then right, so I don't know what it is. Usually I don't ask, I just stand and I pray until they scold me. Then after I sit down. Right, but Qatar will say clearly before the flight. Right, no one's allowed to pray on this flight. They pray standing on this flight. They will say clearly. For sunnah prayers, pray all you want, facing the way you are traveling. For sunnah, there is no condition of qibla. Right, for sunnah prayers. So if you're going through the night, you can pray all the tahajjud and whatever through the night. You're fine. You can just pray while you are seated and following the direction of the aeroplane is fine. Okay, ni apa Saudi Saudi will give you days. This is Saudi They give you a musalla in the plane. Right, they remove 4 seats. All their places are like that. They have a musalla. So I like Saudi but this time around we couldn't get Saudi Right, so okay. I want to say something just now. Okay, wait. Later on, I will speak about the jamak and qasar part. Okay, I want to go to about wrapping on the khuf first, and now I'll go into our itinerary and speak about where we're going to jamak and qasar. Right, this is just so everybody knows the hukum properly. Okay, right, so no macam disputes about hukum, about the laws of the religion. No confusion. Right, no one left behind. No one like, we're supposed to pray. And then, or like, if I say we're going to jamak taqdeem, bring forward the prayer, make sure everyone does it. I'll keep reminding people, inshallah, on a trip, right? But just as a go through first, right? So that we don't there was once I was with my husband in Mecca, right? And we were going to leave right after Zohor prayer in Mecca, going to go to Medina, right? And we will arrive in Medina at Maghrib. Right, so I told my husband, because we're in Mecca for 3 days, right, I told my husband, okay, we're travelers still, right, so right after the Zuhur, you taqdeem Asar, right, Asar into Zuhur, right, then we can just go to Medina, we'll arrive in Medina at Maghrib lah, right, so, and if you know the conditions of bringing a prayer forward, you must pray one after the other immediately. There cannot be a gap in between. If you bring backward, you can rest in between. There can be a gap. Right? There are rulings about this kind of things. Right? So refresh your fikir, refresh. Right? So four, you must pray one after the other. You can't, there's no gap in between. Right? So after I prayed, he was in front of me, because in Mecca, he was in front of me. We prayed Zohar with the Jamaah. I got out, I prayed Asar. Right? He didn't get up. So after when I met him, I said, "Do you pray Asar?" He says, "Ah, he forgot to pray Asar." So now he cannot bring the prayer forward already. He cannot, because there has been a gap. He can't bring the prayer forward already. So what is it? What must we do? On our way to Medina, stop and let him pray Asar. We must stop on the path and on the road to a side, and then go to the nearest masjid and pray Asar, then continue onto Medina. So you see, this happens in our group. We're gonna have to disrupt our bus journey if someone forgot to pray Asar, for example. Right? Hey, you didn't pray Asar. Huh? You cannot. You have done your Zohar. So you can't do Zohar again and do Asar together. You cannot. Once you don't do this muala, this together prayer, dah, there's no more chance. That's why to bring forward prayer is apa, you need to be aware what you must do. Okay? Once you have a gap, dah, you cannot do it already. You must pray Asar at its time. Leceh lah for the ones who are organizing, right? So I'll go through the prayer timings, and inshallah I'll remind people as we go along. And please lah, if I remind you all on something, please do it. But even if you don't do it, then okay lah, we'll just make way to have you pray lah. Okay, inshallah. Okay, I'm going to speak about khuf because it is something very useful. That's why. Okay, so basically, the khuf is a law in our religion. It's basically about the boots, right? So either ankle boots, or this is a hoof socks. Right? They call it wudu socks, but I think they should call it hoof socks because it's very misleading. Right, wudu socks. It's actually hoof socks. We had it checked by Sheikh Omar Al Khatib, right? Whether it passes as a hoof. So basically, the socks is very thick and waterproof, right? It passes as a boot. Right? It's very you would say tahan. Right? It can handle travel. So if you walk on it for a distance, it will not tear. So that's are the conditions of khuf. Waterproof, right? Can handle far travel, right? That is the condition of khuf, right? So it is permissible when doing wudu and a leeway for both a traveler and the one in residence. It is not permissible for ghusl, right? For the major bath. This is tell you Allah. Okay, from the hadith, Sayyidina Ali radiallahu anhu said, Rasulullah SAW permitted us to wipe over the khuf 3 days and nights for a traveler and 1 day and night for a non-traveler, meaning you can use this information, this knowledge for your workplace. You can. So even if you're not going anywhere and you're staying in Singapore and it's hard for you to take wudu at your workplace because of the feet, you can use the leeway of khuf. Because its stick is very hot. Right, so if you're in the air conditioned room or whatever, it's easy lah. But when I tried one day to wear it, one whole day was so hot because it's burning. It's so thick, this thing, because of it being waterproof. They put some form of like styrofoam inside, right, to make it waterproof. Okay, okay. So I'm going to fikir. Inshallah, it's bear me for a while. Because if you all want to take this leeway, you are knowledgeable in this leeway. All right. So to do the khuf, you must be in a state of full purity putting them on, meaning you must have wudu. Right? You must have you must be clean and must have wudu. Then you put on your khuf. Okay, now the khuf is valid on you. So with wudu, you put it on. Both feet must be washed for wudu before putting on the khuf. You can't put on one before washing the other. I said full wudu, then can put them on. All right. But if you do tayammum, it's not valid. You can't use tayammum as if you use tayammum. I know tayammum. If your foot is bleeding, you can't use khuf also. Right, so in case anyone's feet is bleeding. Last week there was a question about what about men whose feet have cracks. Right, if you have cracks in your feet, can they wear socks when they are in ihram? Right. Okay, the answer to that, right, is that for Umrah, okay, for Hajj different, because for Hajj your ihram can be several days. For Umrah, because Umrah is only a few hours, right? You can wear sandals, right? And do your Umrah, even if your feet are cracking, you can wear sandals because it's only a few hours. It's only a few hours. You shave your hair, you can put your socks back on. Okay, so for Umrah, tahan lah, tahan. That's a few hours of Umrah, tahan. Right? You can hold it. You can hold it. You can put your moisturizing cream or your whatever on your feet before ihram. If there's a smell in it. If your moisturizing cream has a smell in it, do all the moisturizing that you need to do before ihram. Then you enter into ihram. So you can put anything you want to put on of attar or perfume or soap or deodorant, whatever lah. Right? Before you enter ihram. If it's only during ihram, it's no problem. It's okay. Okay? Okay, tamam. Okay, the khuf is free of najasa. The khuf will be durable, so it's durable to wipe over for the traveler and for the resident, right? So traveling is more than 80 kilometers, which we are doing, right? For the one, it's not for the one who is traveling for sin. Inshallah, we're all for ibadah, eh? Inshallah. Okay, the khuf must cover the parts of the feet that is for the wudu. That means beyond your ankles lah, right? And covered all the way around except from the top. Okay, that is a khuf lah, basically lah. So basically, if someone has ankle boots, that works as a khuf. If you have ankle boots, right, it works as khuf. It counts as khuf. Right, so okay, so I'll just go through. This is an example of a khuf lah. Okay, so how do you use this? How do you use this? I'll explain it for myself. Okay, here. When you take wudu, you put this on. Okay, the duration has not started. The duration has not started yet. Right, the duration starts when you first nullify your wudu. Okay, so you take full wudu, put on the khuf. Okay, you have wudu, no problem. So as you are traveling, right, you nullify your wudu. Touch your husband or whatever, you nullify your wudu in whatever way. You nullify your wudu. Now you want to, so the moment you nullify your wudu, the duration starts. Okay, so now you want to take wudu. So you do wudu as usual. So when you come to the feet, instead of having to wash the feet, you don't wash your feet. You just wet your hands and you wipe the top of your feet. That is wajib. Wajib is to wipe even one finger also. Wajib. Sunnah is a way lah, sunnah. Kalau sunnah lah. Right, but wajib is one finger wipe the top of your foot is good enough. And you can pray. And there's no qada. Right, so it's very useful for travel, for aeroplane, for workplace, for a lot of things where you don't want to bring your foot up to the sink to wash it. Especially aeroplane sink, it's so small, the sink, ya Allah. So you can use. So for me, I'm recommending it lah. Because in the aeroplane, when take wudu, you're like, I bring my foot up to the sink, kan? You khuf aja. You khuf it. Right, so okay. Okay, about spray bottles, right, for wudu. Yes, you can do that as long as the water flows. Right, so if you have a spray bottle for wudu, for example, you spray on your. But for women, I find very hard because our aurat semua. Like, I don't know how people do it if when they're a woman. Because like if you're on an aeroplane, kan, how do my arm? Right, I mean like it's like how am I going to open my arm? Is it? I mean open my pull up my sleeve? Is it? I can't. So I don't know how to on the clothing. Then basah kuyup. You have the entire wet sleeves for the entire flight. Nanti. Kan? And your face pun down here is all face apa. Like how do you do it? Like for me, I will go toilet because it's like a lot of aurat to be exposed. Kan? But I mean for the men easy lah. Spray. You can just spray as long as the water flows. It's fine. And the water has to flow. Okay. So now we are doing it. Right. So the moment you take off the khuf, the moment you take off your khuf, right, it has ended. There's no more khuf back to normal lah, basically. And you take a full wudu again, then you put the khuf back on if you want to put the khuf back on. So if you want to maintain the law of khuf, keep the khuf on. But if you want to just like remove the khuf, then you have broken the entire law of khuf. Okay? Okay.
Once you already take the wudu with the khuf, and after that we take it out.
Then you must take wudu.
Must take wudu.
Yes.
Okay, right.
Cannot.
So it has to be on when we are praying or doing whatever.
Yes. The law of khuf only stays for as long as the khuf is on your foot. The moment you take the khuf, so if you take the wudu with the khuf, right? If you take the khuf off, the whole thing is gone. You must go and take wudu properly. Okay? Alright, so I was talking about this now lah. Okay, that was the part I was going through. So now I'm gonna go to the other part. Let me just see here. Okay, we're done with the fiqh, eh? If you're wondering what the fiqh, I'm done with the fiqh. So if you want to see later on, you can see, you can buy it. I don't know where else they sell it, this socks thing. Ah, yeah, I mean, only this company does it lah. There's no other company. It's like one sock is $40. That's why it's quite on the high end lah. Socks. But you buy one is good enough. Right, one is good enough, right? Because you just use it for travel. Yeah lah. Right? Or buy a boot lah. If you want to use the law of khuf, if you want to use the law of khuf, you can even use it in Masjid al-Haram. Right? So in Masjid al-Haram, if you wear khuf all the time, if you're not in ihram leh, for the men, not in ihram for the men, right? You can use khuf if you want to because it makes taking wudu very easy, for you. Okay. All right.
It can't watch that must be like that.
No, as long as it's waterproof. Yeah. Yeah, as long as any material as long as waterproof. Just ensure that your shoes are all not, like najis or whatever. Okay. So last week I went into the itinerary, right? This is flight itinerary. Just to, and now we will be giving you all your tickets and so online, inshallah. And your visas, inshallah, all will get through, inshallah. Last week I mentioned, right, that we will be praying Maghrib at the airport and we're praying Isha at Doha. Right, so Isha will be done at Doha, right? Maghrib at the airport, right? If anybody wants to know why, I just want to show something here. Okay, not the documentary. It's actually a documentary, right? I was just mana dia? Here, here. Okay, wait. Yeah, I actually got a map out. I like to do these kind of things lah. Okay, if where there's Changi Airport. Okay lah. So this is why, if you're wondering why some of the hadithah will say you can jama and qasr at the airport, and why some say you can't. Is there this ambiguity here? This whole thing here, right? Is our airport outside of our town? The town of Singapore is here. Lah. And why they keep appearing the pictures? Anyway, the town of Singapore is here, right? So there's a very thin strip of unbuilt land, and the airport appears. So that's why there's an ambiguity there. Is this out of our town or is this on the outskirts or in the town? So for me, play safe. You just pray Doha, you just pray Isha at Doha. That's all. Right, but this green part lah. The green part there. All this green part. Right. So here is all built. This is all loyang semua kan. Right. Airport is why they keep opening all this. How to stop the picture? Right. This airport is until here, no. This airport, no. All the way up to here. Right. So that means it's very, and then there's all this like aviation part on here. So I'm not saying that you can't jamak qasar at the airport. I'm just saying that there is a khilaf. There's a difference within the scholars as to whether you can or not. Right? So there are two opinions lah. Right? And now you see why. And why there's two opinions. Because our airport is ambiguous. Okay. I want to show something. Right? So when you come out of Singapore, come on, 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 all the way. Okay, so we're going from here, right? Singapore all the way. See all the boys you can see the map now, the boys. You know where we're going or not? We're going from Singapore. It is Malaysia. No, Singapore. Singapore, go all the way to Jeddah here. Okay, Jeddah and then Mecca. Okay, so you come nearer. So, we're going to Jeddah. We go to Medina first. Then you go down to Mecca. The entire time we are in Mecca and Medina, we are travelers. Right, so we have the hukum of traveler. The whole time. Because hukum of traveler is you don't intend to stay in a place for 4 days and 4 nights or more. Right? That is the hukum of traveler, that you don't intend to stay in a place for 4 full days and 4 full nights or more. So in Mecca, we only have 3 days. In Medina, we have 3 days. In Mecca, we have 3 days. That's why Salat Jumaat is not wajib on the men. Right, because we are travelers. Right, and in fact, we will not be getting any Salat Jumaat, unfortunately. Right, because I think we will be getting Salat Jumaat. Let me check the sun.